Husband caught wife cheating, secretly recorded it, and planned his revenge. Cheating wife stories. Daniel, recently elevated to the role of shift foreman, felt a surge of excitement about his night shift schedule. It granted him the precious opportunity to attend his son's school events, ensuring that his professional commitments did not overshadow his family life. He seized the opportunity of a few days off to transform a small apartment above his garage into a serene daytime sanctuary. He was in the process of establishing internet connectivity for the apartment, meticulously running a cable and installing an extender in the attic to enhance the Wi-Fi signal emanating from the house. As Daniel toiled away, he was suddenly interrupted by unanticipated sounds emanating from within the house. Melissa was expected at work, and their son, Tim, was spending time with her parents, leaving the house seemingly empty. Intrigued, Daniel approached the sound emanating from their bedroom. He positioned himself above an old air conditioning vent, the very one Melissa had previously voiced her grievances about, which he had neglected to remove after fitting a new unit. As Daniel shifted aside some insulation to peer through the vent, a wave of despair washed over him at the sight of Melissa with another man. Stunned and wounded, he found himself unable to avert his gaze. After a brief moment, he steadied himself, retrieved his phone, and subtly captured the unfolding scene through the vent. "Does your husband ever fulfill your needs, or does he fall short?" inquired the man. Melissa interjected, "I've asked you not to mention Daniel." Yet to Daniel, her protest seemed weak and lacking conviction. "This is not about him. He excels as a lover and shines as a father," she continued. "I have no doubt about his presence in your life. Yet here I find myself on the brink of intimacy with you in his bed, while you profess your contentment with him. There's a discrepancy that demands attention. I can't quite grasp why I allowed you to persuade me to engage in this here, in that very spot. Yet I feel certain we won't be discovered at your place." Melissa gasped, her voice trembling with anticipation as she neared the peak of her pleasure. The man atop Melissa suddenly stiffened. They remained motionless for a brief moment until Daniel caught sight of him tumbling away from his wife. "Observe the exhilaration that unfolds when we embrace risks," Melissa's lover commented. "Engaging in intimacy at my home has its charm, yet experiencing it in your marital bed elevates the moment to a whole new level." Daniel identified Melissa's paramour as Rick Lawson, a driver at the delivery company where they were both employed. He had recently experienced a divorce and had a daughter who was in Tim's class. "That sounds risky," Melissa replied, her voice devoid of any genuine feeling. "Is your desire for intimacy in my bed merely a way to surpass Daniel? It isn't a matter of rivalry." "It seems to be that way for men," Lawson chuckled softly. "Your allure is undeniable, yet the knowledge of your marital status, coupled with my presence in your husband's bed, fills me with a sense of triumph. It's an exhilarating experience. The excitement would surely dissipate if Daniel were to discover us. I regret having consented to this, and I assure you it shall not occur again." Melissa confessed her fears, her voice trembling with anxiety. "I'm worried about Daniel finding out. It would ruin my marriage." "How about we strike a bargain?" Lawson suggested. "As long as you keep your husband unaware, we won't engage in his bed. But once he's back in the mix, we'll need to revisit this so I can assert my dominance once more. Shutting Daniel out is simply not an option. He is my husband, and I cannot do that." Melissa reasoned that it was time to cease the intimacy with him. "He is a man seeking a conventional, intimate life. I will endeavor to dissuade him from seeking intimacy and restrict our meetings to places outside my bedroom. The mere idea of what might unfold if Daniel were to discover us fills me with trepidation." Daniel had tucked his truck away in a secluded garage out of sight. Unbeknownst to Melissa, he was indeed home, quietly absorbing every word of her conversation. As Daniel descended from the attic, he felt a tumult of emotions swirling within him, grappling with the shocking revelation of his wife's betrayal. He opted against confronting Melissa, directing his attention instead to their son Tim, who remained in high school. Melissa's emotions had ceased to hold any significance for him. Resolute in his decision, Daniel refused to allow a cheater to revel in the home he had painstakingly renovated over the course of 15 years. He devised a plan to remain until Tim completed his graduation. He hastened the transformation of his apartment above the garage, envisioning a cozy haven complete with a kitchen and bathroom, a place to reside until Tim embarked on his college journey. Daniel resolved to focus on Tim's college fund first, and once that was secured, he would begin the journey of rebuilding his own life, free from the bonds of loyalty to Melissa. When Melissa arrived home and found him in the kitchen, Daniel had regained his composure. "Did something happen at home early?" she asked. As he watched her in this moment, he became acutely aware of the passage of time etched upon her features, and he pondered why these transformations had eluded his notice until now, coming to the bittersweet conclusion that perhaps it was his deep affection that had obscured his vision. He experienced a profound sadness, yet he understood that it was her choices that had altered the course of their relationship. Indeed, the atmosphere at work has grown somewhat frosty. I have been requested to take on some night shifts for a period, beginning this evening. I was granted the opportunity to return home, to prepare a lunch and take a moment to rest. "I'll return later," Daniel explained. Melissa reasoned that it was unreasonable to expect someone to work nights following a day shift, even with a brief respite during the day. Prepare to feel utterly drained. Perhaps you could recline and allow yourself a few hours of rest. "That sounds like a great idea," Daniel concurred. "I'll simply recline between the sheets and bide my time," Melissa interjected with a raised voice, recalling the state of the bed. "I have come to the realization that the bed linens require a thorough washing," Daniel replied with a calm demeanor, a soft chuckle escaping him as he noted Melissa's unease. "I shall simply make use of the bed in the guest room. There's no reason to become agitated." Daniel departed from home under the guise of heading to work, yet his true destination was a sports bar where he indulged in the thrill of a baseball game. Later, he covertly entered his future apartment, finding solace on an air mattress for the night. The following day, he swiftly engaged a contractor eager to commence work without delay. Daniel typically followed a work schedule that spanned from Sunday to Thursday nights, granting him weekends free. Melissa found herself bewildered as she observed him preparing to sleep in the guest room on a Friday, a night that typically belonged to his time off. "What brings you to the guest room for your slumber? Given that our time together will be limited during your night shifts, how about you rest in our bed?" inquired Melissa, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Having worked through the night and managed to steal a few hours of sleep this morning while you were occupied at work, I find myself not feeling particularly tired." Daniel explained his intentions to watch a baseball game, perhaps followed by a movie, adhering to the excuse he had meticulously crafted. "I am endeavoring to adapt to the rhythm of nocturnal wakefulness and diurnal slumber. I wish to avoid interrupting your rest." "Unless you're in the mood for a little excitement," Daniel proposed, his eyebrows dancing with mischief. Melissa's reply unfolded precisely as Daniel had foreseen. Had he not caught the tail end of her conversation with her lover, he may have overlooked the fleeting deer-in-the-headlights expression that crossed her face before she offered a faint smile. "This evening finds me quite weary. Perhaps we could simply cuddle for a while and then drift off to sleep," Melissa proposed. "Additionally, Tim will be at home this evening. He may catch our words." "Cuddling simply won't suffice for me," Daniel responded. "If closeness is not an option, I shall retreat to the guest room to sidestep any allure. You never seemed concerned about Tim overhearing us in the past, so that's merely a pretext. There's no need to fabricate anything. I don't believe in putting pressure on a woman. I'm aware of that, Daniel." "You are correct. It was indeed a feeble justification, and I apologize for that. I find myself weary, lacking the inclination for romance." Melissa expressed her hope that you would understand. "I grasp far more than you might imagine. Inform me when the moment strikes you. If I sense it as well, there could be a connection between us." "Good night," Daniel said, making his way to the guest room, while Melissa was left with a look of bewilderment. On Sunday night, he stepped into his new role as shift foreman with a sense of assurance, choosing not to disclose his promotion to Melissa, mindful of her penchant for secrecy. His shift unfolded seamlessly, embraced by a warm and inviting team. By the time Monday morning arrived, Melissa found herself at work, while the construction on his apartment was already underway. Following a brief conversation with the foreman, Daniel found himself drifting off to sleep, undeterred by the surrounding clamor and sporadic phone calls, though he felt a twinge of irritation at having neglected to silence the landline in the guest room. Daniel picked up the phone, his voice thick with sleep. "Greetings. Apologies for disturbing your slumber, Daniel," remarked his mother-in-law, Beverly. "I wanted to inform you that Rick and I are aware of your night shifts, and we will ensure that we do not disturb you. If you require assistance with Tim during your slumber, feel free to reach out to us." Daniel concluded the call in silence, a slight shake of his head betraying his frustration at the sheer obliviousness of others as he disconnected the phone. After some time, he found himself slipping back into slumber. The construction crew completed their tasks in under a week, leaving Daniel in awe of their remarkable efficiency. As he contemplated the duration it would have required for him to accomplish the same task, he found himself in awe of their remarkable swiftness. On Friday afternoon, he made his way to a furniture store, placing an order for the essentials to furnish his new space: a grand bed fit for royalty, a quaint kitchen table accompanied by 4 chairs, and a cozy, compact sofa. He then made his way to an appliance store, where he carefully selected a large flat-screen TV, a refrigerator, an oven, and a microwave. By Monday afternoon, his bachelor pad, as he referred to it, would be completely prepared for his full-time move-in. Daniel let out a soft laugh at the sight of Melissa's bewildered face as she stepped through the door on Monday, only to discover a team bustling around their detached garage. She drew him away for a moment of clarification. Daniel disclosed that he is in the process of completing an apartment above the garage. "I seek a serene haven where I can rest undisturbed throughout the day. It will be completely soundproofed, devoid of even a landline. Given my night shifts, I thought it would be more convenient for everyone if I had my own space." "Unaware of your presence?" Melissa gasped in astonishment. "Yet you are woven into the fabric of our family. It is essential that we are aware of your presence." Daniel assured her that he would continue to be present for Tim's baseball practices and games, and they would share dinner together. "However, I brought up a few days back the possibility of setting aside some special time to spend together. Are you requesting that I complete that this evening? Your behavior is quite unpleasant. Marriage encompasses far more than mere proximity. We anticipate the exchange of ideas, the warmth of romance, and the openness to share our thoughts and challenges. It's not solely about intimacy, you see." "Don't lecture me on marriage," Daniel cautioned. "I invest as much effort into this marriage as you do. This arrangement will function well. Simply inform me when you desire my presence in bed." "I'm not an object to be serviced," Melissa snapped. "Nothing will be forthcoming until a genuine apology is offered, and I anticipate a lovely dinner out as part of that reconciliation, you inconsiderate person." With a grin, Daniel turned and strolled away, leaving Melissa in a state of confusion. As he skillfully ensured Rick Lawson remained at bay, Melissa couldn't shake her concern over Daniel's unsettling behavior. He appeared to be a shadow of himself, seemingly dismissing her presence, which filled her with unease. He had consistently shown a keen sense of attentiveness in the past. Determined to create an unforgettable evening for Daniel after his apology, Melissa felt confident that he wouldn't be able to resist the pull of intimacy for much longer. She was certain he would remain captivated by it. From the moment they crossed paths, his anticipation had been palpable. By the following Wednesday, Daniel had completely made himself at home in his new apartment. As Labor Day weekend approached, he found himself with 3 nights of freedom ahead. Tim's junior year was set to commence the following Tuesday. "Would you both be interested in attending a Diamondbacks game this weekend?" During Thursday's dinner, Daniel inquired. "The team is set to face the Dodgers in a crucial series that holds significant importance for them." "Are you kidding me? That sounds fantastic." "Thank you, Dad," Tim exclaimed. "Baseball isn't really my thing," Melissa lamented. "I think I'll forgo the game and seek out some activities to enjoy at home instead." "I bet you will," muttered Daniel, his voice barely above a whisper, just loud enough for Melissa to catch the words. "It is decided then. Tim and I shall attend the game on Saturday night." "Wow, I must share this with Scooter," Tim exclaimed. "He will undoubtedly feel a pang of jealousy. He is an ardent supporter of the Dodgers and once called L.A. his home." "Why not invite him to join us?" Daniel suggested. Enjoying a baseball game alongside friends, particularly those who share the same passion, enhances the experience significantly. I shall reach out to him at this very moment. Thanks, Dad, Tim exclaimed with enthusiasm as he hurried off to fetch his phone. Melissa noted how you truly brightened Tim's day. The game of baseball offers a splendid opportunity to forge connections with the guys. Horace appears to be a pleasant young lad. Is his actual name Horace? Daniel inquired with disbelief. It's no surprise he calls himself Scooter. Who would bestow the name Horace upon their child unless it were an act of deliberate torment? Tim. Melissa recounted how Horace's father had succumbed to a brain aneurysm 2 years prior, lightly dismissing Daniel's remark regarding the name. They relocated here this summer to be nearer to his grandparents, who are not in good health. I'll continue to call him Scooter and erase Horace from my memory, Daniel declared, just as Tim hurried back into the room. Tim announced with excitement that Scooter's mom had given her permission for him to come. This promises to be truly remarkable. On a Saturday afternoon, Tim eased his truck to a stop in front of a charming ranch house nestled within a pleasant neighborhood. Before he could bring the vehicle to a halt, Scooter dashed out of the door and leaped into the truck beside Tim. Mr. Welker, my mother wishes to meet you before our departure, Scooter conveyed. It seems she wishes to ascertain that you are not someone who might be deemed offensive or anything of that nature. I apologize for that. No worries, Daniel said, stepping out of the truck and making his way to the door, where he rang the bell. A lithe woman, seemingly of Daniel's age, swung the door open. Daniel observed her legs, convinced they were her most striking attribute. They appeared robust and well-defined in their running shorts. He found himself unable to resist admiring them. Her abdomen was smooth, and her top clung closely to her form. Do you believe my legs stand out favorably against the rest? Scooter's mother playfully inquired, teasing Daniel. Indeed, they appear splendid, Daniel concurred, noticing her mischievous smile. Your legs are quite lovely, she went on. Should I allow my son to attend a baseball game with someone who seems to notice every woman around him? Scooter's mother took on the challenge, endeavoring to instill in her son the importance of good manners. Noticing the playful glint in her eyes, Daniel recognized her teasing nature and chose to play along with her banter. What you're truly inquiring about is whether you should permit your son to accompany a male companion, considering that the pursuit of women is often seen as an inherent aspect of masculinity. With a playful grin, Daniel made a jest. He must come to understand the value of women. I shall guide him in discerning what to seek. I trust you'll embrace a more nuanced approach in these lessons, the woman responded, her smile unwavering. The initial lesson shall be to deliver a sharp reprimand to anyone who dares to call him Horace, save for you naturally. With a playful glint in his eye, Daniel responded with a jest. She remarked that her son would learn to be assertive and to appreciate the beauty of women's legs. Daniel responded, not merely that. I will guide him in the art of discerning judgment, encouraging him to value the multifaceted nature of women, rather than focusing on a singular aspect. Great, thanks, Scooter's mom said, her tone imbued with newfound respect for Daniel. Enjoy yourself, and if you find yourself delayed, please have Scooter give me a ring. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Charlotte. Pray tell, Charlotte, what moniker do your companions bestow upon you? Daniel inquired. Among my male friends, I am known as Minx, Raven, Candy, or Bubbles. My girlfriends call me Charlotte, she replied, her expression unwavering. That works for me. I'm Daniel. As we embark on this journey of friendship, I shall refer to you as Minx. I have a certain fondness for that name, Daniel remarked. Why does this not come as a surprise to me? Charlotte let out a soft chuckle, which soon blossomed into a hearty laugh. Horace is available to accompany you whenever you wish. Your sense of humor is truly delightful. Tim's politeness assured me that his parents would be just as agreeable. Thank you for extending the invitation to him for the game. We are passionate enthusiasts of baseball. I attended countless Dodgers home games whenever I had the chance. Before my arrival, my father graced the fields of the minor leagues. He was quite competent, though perhaps not entirely sufficient, Charlotte remarked. Scooter is a wonderful child, making it all quite effortless. I shall watch over him and ensure he returns home safely, Minx. Wishing you a delightful day ahead. Are you truly intent on addressing me as Minx? I was only joking, Charlotte insisted. You'll always be Minx to me, Daniel said swiftly, turning on his heel and making his way back to the truck. Daniel enjoyed a leisurely day at the game. Scooter snagged a foul ball, while both boys indulged in an excess of hot dogs and soda. As Daniel prepared to pull away from the parking lot, they succumbed to slumber in the back seat of the truck. Upon arriving at Scooter's residence, Daniel softly roused the drowsy teenager and guided him to the entrance, where Charlotte awaited with a warm smile. Daniel confessed that he may have indulged a little too much in food and soda. Naturally, he did. It's all part of a ball game, Charlotte replied. I appreciate you for taking him and ensuring his safe return. It was truly a delight. Scooter's an exceptional young man, Daniel remarked to Minx. I look forward to seeing you at the boys' games. Daniel discovered a rhythm that resonated with him perfectly. He would return home, hastily consume a light breakfast, and then drift into slumber from 9 until 3. With the added layer of insulation and the embrace of blackout curtains, his slumber was often profound and uninterrupted. Melissa frequently voiced her frustrations about Daniel dozing off in his man cave on weekends, yet she would likely relent if he lent a hand with household chores. Daniel could feel her anxiety about the possibility of being discovered by Lawson in their bedroom, indicating that thoughts of divorce were not on her mind, which coincided perfectly with his intention to remain married until Tim completed his graduation. With the demands of his new foreman position being less taxing on his body, Daniel decided to invest in a home gym, allowing him to maintain a consistent workout routine. He was present at every one of Tim's baseball practices, ultimately stepping into the role of coach for a few kids as well. Scooter, once shy yet gifted, blossomed under Daniel's additional guidance, emerging as a pivotal player by the middle of the season. Tim shone brightly, filling Daniel with pride. Daniel observed that certain mothers at the games valued his participation, chuckling at his humor and offering treats, some of which were meant for him. As the bond between Tim and Scooter deepened, Daniel discovered himself increasingly in the company of Scooter's mother, Charlotte, whose wit and sharpness captivated him. He contemplated the idea of sharing something intimate with her. Daniel started, a hint of hesitation in his voice. I hope I'm not overstepping, Minx, but there's something I need to ask you. Charlotte replied swiftly. I'm lost. Daniel confessed, You know, when a man mentions he has a personal question, isn't it typically concerning a woman's bra size? Gert responded with a light-hearted laugh. Indeed, that's typically the case. Daniel chuckled in response. Yet I found myself curious about whether you've observed the way some of the moms have been treating me differently lately. Do you believe they've become more amicable? Indeed, your powers of observation are impressive, Gert replied with a hint of sarcasm. You truly do not. So you're in the loop, are you? Daniel contemplated. I would require additional details regarding the what before I could provide an answer. I understand the intricacies of baseball rules, such as the infield fly rule, but I sense that's not quite what you're referring to, is it? No, I was alluding to the unspoken guideline against bunting or stealing bases when holding a substantial lead. Gert jested before shifting to a more earnest tone, noting that if one had been observant, they would realize that the most amiable mothers tend to be those who are single. You are an exceptional father, quite handsome, and hold a respectable position in your career. That positions you as a desirable prospect in their view. What of my marriage? Wouldn't that be significant? Daniel inquired. Gert responded, indicating that they had indeed contemplated the matter. That is the reason they have refrained from attempting to entice you. No one has taken action, correct? No one has attempted it, though it wouldn't pose an issue, Daniel responded. As a married individual, I find myself clearly not in the running as a potential partner for anyone else. Daniel, it pains me to be the bearer of this news, but as friends, I feel it's my responsibility to share it with you. Every mother is aware of your wife's infidelity, but the situation is about to deteriorate further. Rumor has it that she's putting an end to things in the bedroom. It seems you both are not sharing a bed, and the signs suggest that a breakup is on the horizon. These women are eager to welcome you into their fold once you find yourself unattached. Gert's revelation sent Daniel spiraling into a whirlwind of disbelief. How did everyone become aware of his personal affairs? Who might have access to the intimate details of his private sanctuary? In that moment, clarity struck him like a bolt of lightning. Melissa must have let slip the secret about our lack of intimacy to that insufferable fool, and he couldn't help but spread the word. Daniel seethed. Are you referring to your wife or her admirer? Gert inquired, seeking to uplift the atmosphere. Your demeanor regarding all this gossip is surprisingly composed. Did you have any inkling that Melissa might be unfaithful? No, I never saw it coming, Daniel replied. You were completely unaware then? Gert inquired with disbelief. Daniel clarified that he had known she was cheating all along, though he had never suspected it. I find myself adrift. How can one possess certainty without harboring doubt? Gert was perplexed. It is straightforward. My journey shifted from uncertainty to clarity the moment I discovered Lawson entwined with Melissa in bed. Daniel elucidated that he bypassed suspicion entirely. Ah, what an unexpected turn of events. You discovered them in the midst of their wrongdoing, and yet here you are, still bound by your vows and free as a bird? Are you not inclined towards open relationships, or perhaps a voyeur? Gert leaned in, a look of concern etched on their face. Absolutely not. That's not who I am, Daniel assured her with conviction. I resolved to shift my priorities. Devoting my time to Tim as a full-time dad became my central pursuit. Coexisting with Melissa appeared to be the most favorable path to attain that goal. My transition to night shifts has cast a shadow over our intimate moments. I crafted a charming apartment above the garage, providing me with a serene space to rest during the day, free from disturbance. She found the sleeping arrangement less than ideal, yet Lawson was adamant that each time she shared a bed with me, he would insist on claiming our space for their encounters. It troubled her, yet it wasn't sufficient to deter her from continuing to see him. She firmly believes that her affair remains hidden and is determined to maintain that secrecy. I kept it to myself, but our closeness has come to an end. I underwent testing for STDs, and the results came back clear. I strive to maintain it in that manner. Are you kidding me? Did you catch that sound? Charlotte simmered with rage. How could she possibly treat you with such disregard? That individual is utterly insufferable. Every single mother believes he would be quite the prize. I believe you may be placing too much value on my allure. I've never considered myself the heartthrob type, yet Daniel proposed that a stable job could enhance my appeal to certain women in need of companionship. Are you serious? Behold you. You're quite handsome, and that smile of yours is simply beautiful, Charlotte remarked. You possess strength, kindness, intelligence, and a remarkable ability to connect with children. If I weren't so unadorned and lacking in curves, perhaps I would have taken a chance, alongside my almost non-existent A-cup. Perhaps it's time for me to cease my words. I appreciate your honesty regarding what people are saying and thinking, Daniel replied, his tone tinged with a hint of seriousness. I was unaware that my circumstances were common knowledge among everyone. It's quite mortifying. I find myself unable to bring joy to my own wife. I find myself feeling utterly weak. You are a kind-hearted individual striving to be a great father to your son. You possess the strength to navigate through this challenge, allowing you to forge a strong connection with Tim. Charlotte assured him that Horace thought he was quite impressive. Whom do you refer to? Daniel inquired. You must be feeling better if you're teasing me about Horace's name, Charlotte remarked with a playful grin. Minx, you are truly a wonderful friend. Your presence has prevented me from drowning in my own despair. Daniel confessed, I just hope Tim doesn't catch wind of this. That ship has either sailed or is nearing its departure, Charlotte revealed. Horace observes that Tim is aware of the unsettling situation at home. You find yourself largely steering clear of his mother. Surely he will catch on to something with so many individuals aware of the situation. Do you sense what occupies my thoughts? Charlotte interjected. Horace harbors feelings for Samantha Lawson. It creates an uncomfortable situation for both him and me. She's an innocent soul, unaware of the true nature of her father's character. Daniel remarked with a sense of relief. I'm just glad Tim isn't pursuing Samantha, or that would certainly lead to chaos. I shall accept whatever comes my way. Horace mentions that Tim has his sights set on Holly Ingram, which comes as no shock. With a grin, Charlotte remarked, "She's at every game, cheering him on. Indeed, I've noticed her presence here and there. A pleasant young individual." Daniel reminisced about knowing her family during his childhood. They are truly admirable individuals. 2 nights later, Tim's team took to the field for the district championships. Daniel came to the unsettling realization that his nerves were far more frayed than Tim's. It was further complicated by the fact that 3 single mothers were competing for his affection. Norma Wilson donned a daring top, showcasing her generous cleavage. She leaned forward repeatedly, drawing Daniel's gaze. Brandy Dorn, clad in a snug sweater, inquired of Daniel regarding the team, her figure elegantly highlighted. Jillian Patterson was more direct, leaning her chest against Daniel's arm. With a knowing smirk, Charlotte offered him a selection of snacks. Daniel observed the 3 women abruptly depart, then caught the sound of a familiar voice behind him. "This afternoon, I decided to accompany my husband as we watch our son play." Melissa exclaimed somewhat loudly that she hadn't anticipated having to weave through such a throng of fans to reach him. What is unfolding in this moment? The game has yet to commence, yet Tim appears to be firmly in position. "Batting practice," Daniel said, attempting to steer the conversation in a different direction. "Nice try," Melissa shot back. "What was it about you that drew those women in? As if they were bees irresistibly attracted to honey. It's fortunate that silicone doesn't trigger any allergies for you." "If you're expecting me to unravel the intricacies of the female mind, I'm at a loss," Daniel confessed. "It's quite a surprise to find you here. My son is participating in a significant match. I am here to offer my unwavering support for him, without a doubt. There are other mothers present as well. It appears that a few of them are more captivated by you than by the game," Melissa remarked. "It seems you've had quite a lot on your plate recently, missing out on the games." "How did you manage to break free today?" Daniel observed. Melissa cast a sidelong look at Daniel, her mind briefly flickering with curiosity over whether his reference to her obligations held a deeper meaning. Yet she swiftly brushed the notion aside. If he harbored any doubts, he would challenge her with greater intensity. Daniel would never allow her infidelity to go unnoticed if he were aware of it. "I carved out moments. Tim's game holds significance, and thus it holds significance for me as well. Since you began the night shift, our paths have crossed less frequently, so I thought it would be lovely to share some time together rooting for Tim," Melissa explained. As Melissa took her place in the bleachers for her inaugural game, she felt the weight of unfriendly glares from a few of the other moms, leaving her bewildered as she had yet to cross paths with them. She then caught sight of Charlotte, effortlessly casual yet undeniably striking with her meticulously styled hair and shorts. As the game commenced, Daniel's gaze was locked onto the field. Tim stepped up to the plate and connected with the ball, driving it for a double. Next came Scooter, who appeared more formidable than he had the previous season. Scooter's powerful hit launched the ball soaring over the fence, igniting a chorus of cheers as he and Tim circled the bases. Charlotte radiated pride for her son, while Daniel, moved by the boy's achievements, felt tears welling in his eyes as he contemplated the dedication he had invested in coaching them. Following the game, Melissa made her way to the pizza establishment where the team was reveling in their victory. After locating a parking spot some distance away, she made her way inside to find Daniel in the company of Norma Wilson and Brandy Dorn, their proximity raising an eyebrow of concern. As Melissa drew near, they swiftly retreated. This moment brought to mind a recent exchange with her beloved Rick Lawson. "Isn't it time we revisited the comfort of your bed once more?" Rick had proposed while Melissa was donning her attire following their playful encounter. "Engaging in intimacy within the confines of your husband's bed truly ignites my passion. But you promised not to until Daniel and I did it," Melissa reminded him. "I prefer to avoid the uncertainty." "Hold on, are you implying that you both haven't been intimate since our last encounter?" Rick inquired with disbelief. "You mentioned you would keep him waiting until he took the next step. Since that time, he has taken to working night shifts, finding rest in the garage room. It has been an eternity since we last embraced." "That's utterly absurd," Rick scoffed. "His youthfulness contrasts sharply with your allure, making it unlikely that he would ever lose interest. Is he perhaps not straight or involved with someone else? Melissa was adamant that he was definitely not gay. He embodies strength and unwavering loyalty. He's simply weary from his night shifts and only partakes in our dinners on the weekends. He's occupied with tending to the yard and various tasks. A typical man, wed to someone as stunning as you, would hardly choose to forego intimacy, even amidst the demands of long work hours. He must be fooling around. That ought to simplify our connection. He is claiming what is rightfully his, while I am left with what was once his possession. Melissa asserted with conviction, Daniel would never betray my trust. He holds our marriage vows in the highest regard. He's not the kind of person to engage in secretive liaisons or indulge in fleeting romances. Is that truly what you are engaged in? Rick insisted. Indeed, that's not quite the case. This is merely a fleeting moment. He has been preoccupied with work and Tim's baseball, leaving little room for him to focus on me. A touch of enjoyment is well within my rights. Melissa reasoned that she toiled diligently, balancing the demands of managing the household, preparing meals, and maintaining a full-time job. It is clear that this moment is fleeting. Rick smiled thoughtfully as he considered Melissa's explanation. It seems you may have a point. Let us savor the moment while it endures. Lawson me a day when I can find you in your bed. It continues to ignite my passion. As Melissa recalled Rick's words, a sense of unease washed over her. As the two women playfully engaged with Daniel before gracefully retreating, it became evident that he had captured the attention of some rather alluring admirers. She understood that safeguarding her marriage from the advances of those women was essential. Then she caught sight of Charlotte, seated in solitude. Melissa swiftly crafted a strategy. With a warm smile gracing her lips, she settled next to a taken-aback Charlotte. How delightful it is to encounter you, Charlotte. Horace has truly blossomed into an impressive ball player, and he possesses a genuinely kind spirit. He must fill you with pride. I am, Charlotte confessed, her voice tinged with hesitation. Tim is thriving as well. Daniel's experience with them is yielding positive results. He has served as an exceptional guide to Horace. Indeed, there are moments when Daniel's kindness seems almost excessive, Melissa observed, grasping the chance to voice her desire. It seems you've observed the way those blondes consistently gravitate towards him. Perhaps you might lend me a hand. Melissa explained that she believed Daniel wouldn't stray under ordinary circumstances, yet he was a man, and those women practically threw themselves at him. In what ways do you believe you might assist me? Is it advisable to spritz them with cold water when they encroach too closely? Gert made a jest. Melissa began carefully. I find it difficult to attend most of the games and practices due to work and other commitments. Yet I have faith in Daniel when it comes to you. You don't fit his preferences in the slightest. Your support for him in my absence would mean a great deal to me. Melissa continued, expressing her intention to propose to Daniel that he remain nearer to you and exhibit greater attentiveness. Those women may retreat if they believe he has chosen you. I understand this may feel a bit uncomfortable for you, yet it serves a noble purpose. Your assistance could be the key to salvaging our marriage. Allow me to clarify, Charlotte responded, her disbelief evident. You're concerned that these appealing single mothers could lure Daniel, so you wish for me to take your place at the ball games and practices? You perceive me as a reliable option due to my understated nature. I certainly didn't intend to suggest that you're lacking in interest. I am acquainted with Daniel. Melissa clarified that he's more susceptible to the charms of a busty ex-cheerleader than to your influence. You would be aiding him in maintaining his fidelity. Is cheating truly unforgivable? Charlotte contemplated. Would it truly be so terrible if he indulged in a little fun, provided you remained his foremost concern? I trust you're joking, Melissa responded. I cherish my husband deeply, yet infidelity is an absolute deal-breaker in my eyes. It breaks the bonds of the marriage agreement. Unfaithfulness is something I cannot tolerate. For me, that would signify the conclusion of our union. I am deeply passionate about this matter. You spent years bound in matrimony. Loyalty and faithfulness hold great significance for me. Charlotte acknowledged that cheating fundamentally breaches the vows of marriage. Your perspective resonates with me. I must make my way to Daniel. Can I count on you to keep a close eye on him when I'm not around? Melissa inquired. Without a doubt, Charlotte replied, her smile illuminating the room. Ensure that you provide a thorough explanation to Daniel. I shall fulfill my responsibility. Who could possibly ensure a good man's fidelity more effectively than a humble, unadorned, and unremarkable woman? Your phrasing may differ from mine, yet you've captured the essence remarkably. Thank you once more, Melissa remarked as she departed to reunite with her husband. Last night, Melissa engaged me in a serious conversation before I left for work, as Daniel was set to begin at the next day's practice. Her primary concern revolves around the numerous appealing single mothers in my vicinity. She believes my safety would be ensured if I remained near you, Minx, or as she affectionately refers to you, Charlotte. In some way, that fails to instill a sense of security within me. You possess a remarkable intellect. You realize that true safety is an illusion when it comes to a solitary woman, no matter her figure or looks, Charlotte quipped with a playful smirk. Minx, you are truly one of the most beautiful women I've ever encountered, Daniel said with heartfelt sincerity. You possess everything beyond mere artificial enhancements. Whoa, you're truly complicating things for me, Charlotte said, her cheeks flushed. It seems I may have to arrange an eye exam for you once the baseball season comes to a close. With a vision that could be deemed flawless, I often find myself accurately assessing those around me. Save for one significant misjudgment, Daniel remarked. It appears I have misjudged the capabilities of my own wife. It seems she may have misjudged our capabilities, Minx remarked. That is, of course, if you truly find me captivating. Daniel couldn't help but chuckle at the expressions of the single moms as Minx remained by his side. They devoted a considerable amount of time to exchanging banter and laughter. The mothers appeared taken aback, only to be followed by a sense of disappointment. Minx quickly distinguished herself from the throng. The team embarked on a lengthy journey to Middleburg for their upcoming game, opting to set out the day prior and secure an overnight stay at a hotel. They anticipated it would keep the boys invigorated for the match. Daniel provided transportation for Jake Winston's family and Minx. As they journeyed, their conversation brimmed with hope regarding the team's prospects. Upon their arrival, they discovered themselves positioned directly behind the team bus. Daniel assisted Ralph Winston with his baggage. A few parents, such as the Winstons, took it upon themselves to chaperone the boys, opting to stay at the same hotel. Others were compelled to seek accommodations elsewhere, as the bustling town was filled with numerous games. As Tim prepared to board the bus, Daniel leaned in to share a few words of advice, mentioning that he would be staying at a different hotel. He urged Tim to mind his manners around the coaches and chaperones. Which hotel are you currently residing in, Minx? As they drew near to the team hotel, Daniel inquired. She replied with simplicity, the same one as you. However, I did not disclose the name of the hotel I reserved. How did you come across that information? Daniel inquired, a look of confusion crossing his face. I didn't, Minx replied with brevity. How did you come to know that we are both staying at the same hotel? This weekend is quite bustling with activity. Daniel noted that securing a room at the last minute could prove to be quite challenging. I'm sure something will work out, Charlotte replied, her grin wide and infectious, leaving Daniel in a state of perplexity. Moments later, Daniel reached his hotel and turned to Charlotte and Minx, proposing, why not see if you can secure a room while I handle the check-in? I can linger a bit to ensure you discover something. Thank you, but I think I shall remain here for the time being. I'll be fine, she insisted. Upon checking in and receiving his room keys, Daniel made his way back to his truck, where Minx awaited him patiently. Would you care for one of these cards to my room? He proposed. The designated space is room 207. What a sweet gesture, Minx exclaimed, accepting the key and planting a kiss on Daniel's cheek. It's time to retire for the evening. A lengthy night awaits us. The following morning, Daniel awoke feeling even more fatigued than when he had first settled into bed. He grappled with the weight of his marriage vows, yet Minx illuminated a different perspective for him. Let us ponder this matter carefully. Melissa has not only betrayed your trust, but she has also severed all ties with you. Regardless of her past, she is jeopardizing your well-being through unprotected actions. In essence, she has rendered intimacy both perilous and unattractive. She has liberated you from the bonds of your vows and the marriage contract. It has been more than 2 years since I embraced celibacy. I maintain a clean rick of health following my regular checkups. After discovering her infidelity, you underwent testing, and the results came back clear. I began taking birth control more than a month ago with the hope that we could be together. What is one reason we shouldn't be together? Is it my appearance? Your wife seemed to think I would be a suitable match amidst all those voluptuous women, as she understood that you wouldn't find me appealing. Do I lack the allure that draws others in? Minx, you possess an undeniable allure. Never question that for an instant. I have always remained loyal to Melissa, and while it requires a mental adjustment, your argument for our union is compelling. With a grin, Daniel proclaimed his commitment. I'm all in. Before we proceed, there's a crucial detail you ought to be aware of, Minx replied. My parents are currently in hospice care, and it seems they may not have much time left with us. My brother has been forwarding game tapes of Horace to his friend, who is the baseball coach at a prestigious prep school in Los Angeles. Should Horace secure a baseball scholarship next year, we may find ourselves relocating back to that place. I have strong feelings for you, yet it's important to clarify that we're not considering a long-term commitment at this moment. It simply wasn't meant to be. Behold us. You are an attractive married man with an unfaithful partner, while I am an ordinary woman with a son who may have the opportunity for a sports scholarship. She articulated the necessity of prioritizing Horace's well-being. Daniel exclaimed with pride, "That's fantastic news about Scooter. He is an exceptional young man and a gifted athlete. I'm delighted that he will have the opportunity to refine his skills in the face of formidable competition while also receiving a quality education. Your influence is a significant reason he's attracting interest from more prestigious schools. Your dedication to him has not gone unnoticed. It's amusing how your role as a mentor to my son is providing us with the opportunity to return to LA, distancing ourselves from you." Daniel confessed, "I'm not certain I would excel at a one-night stand. Perhaps it would be wiser to forego intimacy entirely rather than engage in a fleeting encounter only to return to solitude." "You're being rather foolish," Minx remarked. "I brought up the possibility of relocating back to LA in 6 months for the upcoming school year. That feels like an eternity. A man might find himself immersed in a whirlwind of excitement over the course of 6 months, provided he isn't past the age for a consistent taste of passionate encounters with an enthusiastic partner. We shall simply have to wait and observe how that unfolds." "Will you embody the essence of your nickname, Minx?" Daniel playfully taunted. Minx vowed to give her utmost for you, big boy. "Whenever you desire my presence, simply whistle, and I shall guide you in the art of whistling." "I've always been told I'm quite the whistler," Daniel quipped with a grin. "Clearly you're not approaching it correctly," Charlotte retorted. The baseball team triumphed in the state championship, and Scooter secured a scholarship to a prestigious prep school in California. Regrettably, Charlotte experienced the profound loss of both her parents just prior to Thanksgiving, with their passing occurring within a week of one another. At the funerals, Daniel and Tim found themselves in a somber gathering, where Daniel encountered Charlotte's brother, Dexter. The two struck up an instant rapport, their connection blossoming amidst the grief surrounding them. "Daniel, allow me to introduce you to my brother Dexter, whom Charlotte has brought into our circle. Dexter, allow me to introduce you to Daniel, a mentor to Horace and a cherished friend of ours." "Wow," Daniel exclaimed. "Is your name Dexter?" "Indeed," Charlotte's brother concurred, "yet all others refer to me as Grim. Only Charlotte and my parents ever refer to me as Dexter. What name do you use for my sister?" "I refer to her as Minx, though there's quite a tale behind it," Daniel remarked. "I believe it's unnecessary for me to inquire," Grim chuckled. Daniel celebrated Thanksgiving alongside Melissa and Tim at her parents' home. After a considerable stretch of time, Daniel discovered himself preparing for slumber alongside Melissa. They consistently spent Thanksgiving night together, and Daniel found himself at a loss for a compelling reason to disrupt that tradition. "Heritage. It feels like an eternity since we last shared a moment," Melissa whispered. "Surely you find yourself yearning for a touch of affection at this point. Embrace me with your passion." Daniel experienced a sharp twinge of remorse as he prepared to speak again. "So you're finally acknowledging your desire for a bit of attention. I always believed you would find your way back. I would be delighted to attend to your needs and bring joy to your holiday season. "You callous scoundrel," Melissa snapped. "With that attitude, you won't be getting any action for a long time. What has stirred within you? Simply refrain from any physical contact with me." "Fine," Daniel replied, his voice flat as he pivoted away from Melissa. It was uncharacteristic of him to utter such a harsh remark, yet it effectively served its purpose of keeping her at a distance. Yet Daniel found himself unable to dispel the lingering regret regarding the depths to which his marriage had plummeted. Melissa was troubled by Daniel's cutting comment, leaving her restless as she tried to find sleep beside him. She contemplated whether his mood stemmed from their recent lack of intimacy or if he had somehow uncovered the truth about her affair. It dawned on her that a candid discussion with Rick was imperative. She could no longer dismiss the intimacy with Daniel, particularly after her inadvertent revelation about sharing the marital bed with Rick, a disclosure that could ignite doubts and jeopardize their union. Daniel adhered to a meticulously crafted routine for his nocturnal duties. He would return home, enjoy a light breakfast, and then retreat to bed by 9 a.m. Frequently, he would rise from slumber at approximately 2 p.m. to discover Minx nestled beside him in bed. They would share an hour in each other's company before she made her way home, ensuring she was there when Scooter returned from school. As the baseball season came to a close, Daniel found himself able to concentrate on being rejuvenated and prepared for Tim's return from school. Following their reunion, he would typically indulge in a brief nap before setting off to work. The arrangement proved to be beneficial for both Daniel and Minx. On a crisp evening in early December, Tim reached out to his father, Daniel, just after commencing his shift at work. "It's a 2017 Corolla," Tim said without hesitation. "I'll get a wheel, entire that fit, and come over. Ensure your doors are secured and don't hesitate to contact the authorities if you encounter any issues. Look after those girls." With that, Daniel tucked his phone into his pocket and made his way to the production floor. He caught sight of Gus, who was behind the wheel of a Corolla. "Gus, you still possess that Corolla, don't you?" Daniel inquired of the bearded man who was maneuvering the forklift. "I require a tire that is compatible with your vehicle, and I require it urgently." As Daniel conversed with Gus, his gaze caught sight of Jack Reynolds strolling by. Jack held the title of uncle to Holly, while his sister occupied the role of her mother. Jack, my son, along with a few friends, finds themselves stranded on the street, grappling with a flat tire and lacking a spare. Holly accompanies them. "I'm picking up a tire from Gus and making my way over. Would you join us on our journey?" "I've got a real spare, not one of those flimsy donuts," Gus asserted with conviction. "Let's take my car and get there quickly." As Jack, Gus, and Daniel made their way through the night, a sense of unease settled over them regarding the kids venturing into that part of town. It was a place fraught with danger, particularly for teenage girls. Meanwhile, Melissa lay in bed, enveloped in the lingering warmth of her moments with Rick. His phone rang, and he noticed it was Samantha on the line. "Ah, dang it, it's Samantha. I have to answer or she'll keep pestering me," Rick thought, glancing at the caller ID. Melissa caught only a fragment of Rick's conversation, yet her curiosity was piqued by what she overheard. "Why are you all down there?" she wondered. "Well, that's unfortunate," he replied. "Those boys should be able to manage a minor issue like that." "Call AAA. It's not my fault your mom doesn't keep a spare tire." "What was that about?" Melissa inquired once Rick ended the call. "No need to worry," Rick said, extending his hand to gently touch Melissa's chest. "Samantha's got a flat, but she's got AAA on the way." As Daniel and his friends arrived behind Samantha's car, they noticed a group of intimidating figures lurking nearby. Daniel stepped out, retrieving the tools from Gus's trunk, while Gus fetched the spare tire. Jack gestured for Samantha to roll down her window. "You all stay put until we get the tire sorted," he instructed. "If those troublemakers stir up any issues, we'll take care of it." "And Holly, you'll have to clarify to your mom why you're on D Street," Jack remarked. Daniel placed the jack beneath the flat tire, tightening it securely before shifting his focus to the lug nuts, preparing to loosen them. The leader of the tough guys strode toward Jack, asserting dominance over their territory. Before Jack could utter a word, Daniel swung the tire iron with precision, striking the man's shins. He collapsed to his knees, cursing in pain, while Daniel took a seat on him, methodically loosening the nuts with determination. The two nearest gang members rushed over, their expressions betraying a desire to assist their fallen leader. With a quick motion, Jack struck the first one in the head, sending him crashing to the ground. Gus advanced, prompting the second man to back away, evading his grasp. "Lift the car a little, and I'll remove this tire," Daniel instructed Jack with a steady demeanor. Jack elevated the vehicle as the gang members hurled insults and curses. Every so often, the man beneath Daniel would attempt to shift, but Daniel would seize his hair, gently raise his head, and firmly press it back down onto the ground. After 2 attempts, the man chose to remain in place. Daniel unscrewed the lug nuts and removed the flat tire. Gus passed him the functional tire, which he then affixed in its place. Once Jack had hand-tightened all the nuts, he lowered the car with a sense of purpose. The taunts from the toughs fell on deaf ears as they focused on their task. Daniel, in the midst of tightening the nuts, stood up abruptly, inadvertently delivering a sharp kick to the leader's groin as he stepped over him. "You got something to say?" Daniel inquired, striding toward the gang with the tire iron spinning nonchalantly in his hand. As he drew nearer, the group dispersed in haste. "Get out of here!" "You kids!" Jack shouted, urging the gang to step back from the car. "Be careful not to run over those fools sprawled in the street and steer clear of this area." The 3 men climbed back into Gus's car, trailing behind as Samantha drove toward the kids' neighborhood. "I can hardly believe you took that fool out at the knees," Gus chuckled. He crumpled to the ground like a ton of bricks. "Thanks for joining me," Jack said. "My hand aches, yet there was a certain satisfaction in delivering that blow to the punk's head." "Wow, you really pinned that guy down while you were fixing the tire," Gus chuckled. "That was a riot to witness." The men persisted in their laughter and chatter about their escapade as they returned to their tasks. By dawn, the entire plant was abuzz with the tale. Narratives of courage and thrill invariably captivated the audience, particularly during the nocturnal hours of the shift. They provided a welcome distraction, easing the weariness that had settled over everyone. The following afternoon, Daniel stirred from sleep to find Minx leaping into bed, her lips meeting his with fervor. She was bare, radiating an unmistakable thrill. "Horace shared the details of last night's events with me. You were truly remarkable. I appreciate you watching over the kids in that way," Minx exclaimed with enthusiasm. "Prepare yourself for an intriguing encounter." My arrival was delayed, as I had to bide my time for Horace and Tim, who ventured out to visit the girls on their day off from school. In the interim, Melissa was just beginning her shift when Sue Blaine approached her at the water cooler, an unmistakable air of urgency about her. I learned of the way Daniel, Jack Reynolds, and Gus Benson dealt with the troublemakers by the kids' car on D Street. "A swift strike with a tire iron certainly puts those punks in their place," Sue remarked. Melissa swiftly pieced together the clues. Last night, Samantha reached out to her dad for assistance, only to be met with indifference. It seemed the matter at hand was far graver than Rick had suggested. Given Sue's mention of children, it probably concerned Holly, as well as Horace and Melissa's son, Tim. Melissa expressed her curiosity about the information she had heard. She was eager to determine whether the rumors aligned. As Sue detailed the gossip, Melissa's anger towards Rick Lawson simmered beneath the surface, carefully concealed from Sue. His daughter had called out to him in a perilous moment, and he had turned a blind eye. Daniel, alongside Gus and Holly's Uncle Jack, had risen to the occasion like true protectors. They shielded the children and guided them to safety. Realizing she was entangled with a man who refused to support his own daughter and her friends, including Tim, pierced her heart. She reflected on the depths to which she had descended. Daniel's integrity eclipsed Rick's by a staggering margin. Melissa had always been aware of this truth, prompting her to ponder the reasons behind her involvement with such a self-centered man. That afternoon in the break room, she discovered Rick by himself, indulging in snacks while his delivery truck awaited repairs. She decided to confront him without reservation. "Last night, Samantha sought your assistance, yet you dismissed her concerns. Those children were potentially in serious danger, and your response was merely to suggest calling Shura show. What sort of father behaves this way?" In the end, Rick mentioned everything turned out all right. "In a laid-back manner, your husband and his friends took care of it. So what's the fuss?" Daniel stepped up like a true gentleman. "The real issue here is that you turned your back on your own daughter. My son was in their company. If your inept husband is truly remarkable, then why am I the one drawing near to you while he's been struggling for months? Rick let out a chuckle. No matter his efforts, he simply cannot compare to me. You're a fool, she shot back. Being a man isn't determined by size. He's more of a man than you'll ever be. You say that, but last night you were with me, Rick replied, a casual sip of soda punctuating his words. In my opinion, I've surpassed that wimp in every meaningful way. That's it, Melissa declared with conviction. Our chapter has closed. Do not attempt to reach out to me again. I seek no connection with you. Whatever, Rick replied with a calm demeanor. There are plenty of married women out there who would appreciate a guy like me. If you ever change your mind, you know where to find me. If you were to ask me nicely, I would still be open to intimacy. In that moment, Melissa was overwhelmed with emotion, tears streaming down her face as she rushed out of the room. She had betrayed her husband, shown him a lack of respect, and put her marriage and family at risk for the sake of a shallow, self-serving individual. She could only wish that Daniel would remain oblivious to the extent of her folly. With that understanding, she recognized the numerous reparations she needed to undertake. Just as Minx guided Daniel to a gratifying conclusion, the sound of quiet sobs reached her ears from behind. Startled, Minx pivoted to find Melissa gazing at her, tears cascading down her cheeks. How could you do this to me? Melissa wept. I trusted you both, and now this. I'm merely adhering to your instructions, Minx responded with a serene demeanor, donning her attire after quieting Daniel with a mere motion. You wished for me to shield Daniel from those voluptuous blondes. I made my own sacrifices to fulfill your ambitions. I never wanted you to be with him, and you know that, Melissa retorted, her tears morphing into a fierce anger. I can't believe Daniel would betray me like this, especially with someone so thin. Minx tried to reason. I get that it's hard to accept that Daniel and I are close, but there's really no need for rudeness. Your husband was on the verge of exploding. I'm merely assisting him in alleviating the pressure he's been under. Rick Lawson didn't want you to share intimacy with your husband, which left Daniel seeking solace elsewhere. Fortuitously, I found myself in the right place at the right moment. You ought to appreciate my efforts in severing ties with Daniel entirely and ensuring Rick remains content. On the subject of Rick, where might he be? Is he sharing your bed? You're aware of Rick, Melissa declared. Indeed, Minx responded. It seems that nearly everyone is aware of Rick. You've been involved with him for several months now. He vowed to share those moments with you in your own bed each time you were with Daniel, leading you to drift away from your husband. Fortunately, Rick stepped in to fill that void, pun intended. If Daniel was aware, why did he remain silent? Why did he allow Rick and me to carry on for so long? Melissa inquired, tears still streaming down her face. You're perceptive. What do most men do? When they discover their wife's infidelity, he would probably erupt in anger and confront me. Then he would likely choose to end our marriage, Melissa admitted, confronting the stark reality. That seems accurate. What comes next? Will Daniel and Tim remain while you settle in with Rick? Minx inquired with a steady demeanor. I'm not abandoning my home. Tim remains by my side. If Daniel wishes to leave, it is he who must take that step. He would be responsible for alimony and child support, Melissa concluded with conviction. That was essentially what Daniel anticipated would unfold. He yearned to remain near Tim and be the finest father he could be. How could he bring that vision to life? Minx inquired. Melissa murmured about the decision to stay together. He remained for Tim, not for her. Upon discovering the truth about Rick and her, he emotionally withdrew from their marriage. We had been existing as if we were already divorced for quite some time, hadn't we? I was simply too oblivious to recognize it. To your credit, Rick was obscuring your perspective, making it difficult to acknowledge that your husband had emotionally departed long ago. I'm merely the girl who entered the scene after you had unraveled everything. I assisted Daniel in his healing journey, Minx elaborated. I ended things with Rick. I never wish to lay eyes on him again, Melissa asserted. That was after he abandoned his daughter in a difficult situation last night, wasn't it? You didn't have many options, Minx observed. Even those who betray have their boundaries. Are you and Daniel planning to cohabit now? Melissa inquired, dabbing at her tears. We find ourselves quite at ease with the current situation. Horace and I are making our way back to LA before the school year kicks off. I would prefer to keep it under wraps that his mother is seeing his best friend's father, if at all possible. As the moment approaches for my departure, I may assist Daniel in seeking a new companion, should he desire it, Minx disclosed. You see, I didn't pilfer your partner as those other mothers wished. We're merely sharing moments together for the time being, much like you did with that fool. What if I put an end to this? He is my husband. You can't be with him, Melissa insisted. You forfeited that privilege when you chose Rick Lawson, Minx shot back. That essentially liberated Daniel from any ties to you. He and I are devoted to one another. Our trust in each other is unwavering. Believe it or not, Daniel has been informed that he cannot be with you or anyone else if he wishes to be with me, Minx remarked. Who can say who else Rick Lawson has been involved with, or what ailments he might carry? You could be harboring all sorts of unpleasant things, Melissa lamented once more, reflecting on Minx's words. Could it be that Rick had strayed into the arms of another? Melissa, now acutely aware of the man Rick had become, felt a pressing urgency to seek testing. What was her next step? She inquired, her voice tinged with anxiety. Let us maintain the status quo. I shall continue my visits with Daniel while you persist in your avoidance. It seems to be functioning well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, Minx replied. I won't do that, Melissa said firmly. You're leaving soon. I will remain by Daniel's side and demonstrate the kind of devoted partner I can be. He won't have any need for you, especially since he understands my loyalty while you wander elsewhere. Prepared for any challenge, Minx asserted. Essentially, I govern your romantic affairs, at least when it comes to Daniel. I refuse to allow him to encroach upon your unsavory dealings while he is with me. I refuse to gamble with my health, and he shares that sentiment. One lesson I've grasped, though perhaps a bit late, is that a relationship encompasses far more than mere physical connection, Melissa remarked, her confidence tinged with uncertainty. Engaging in sex devoid of love or commitment feels rather degrading. I will fulfill the duties expected of a wife for her husband, while you merely provide him with physical pleasure. Consider that. Very well, Minx replied. Let's proceed. You prepare his meals, tidy up the home, and manage his laundry. I will attend to him in the bedroom. We shall see who finds greater joy. Daniel, I deeply regret my disrespect towards you. Will you find it in your heart to forgive me? Melissa implored. How could he trust you again? Minx interjected. He might forgive you someday, but regaining his trust, that's the real challenge for cheaters. Enjoy the next few months while you're still his wife in name. Understand the value of what you've sacrificed for someone unknown, Minx suggested. Daniel is reluctant to disrupt the family dynamic while Tim is still in school. You have roughly 9 months after my departure to attempt to reclaim his heart. Once Tim graduates, Daniel may very well cast you aside. Why do you presume to speak on Daniel's behalf? Melissa insisted. I am not merely his lover. As his closest confidant, Minx elaborated. During your time with Rick, Daniel and I engaged in our own discussions. I made a commitment to address this matter when it arose. He assured me that a reward awaited once I fulfilled my part. Could you kindly give us some privacy now?